Hello and welcome to the Womb-Centered Healing Temple's opening summit. I'm Sama Morningstar and I have Márcia here with me. Thank you so much for joining me, Márcia. I met Márcia in Hawaii at the Fountain of Life Womb Awakening teacher training last fall. And it was so delightful to spend time with you there with I'll never forget the magical frog songs that we listened to while we were there. That was hearing those cookie frogs all the time, especially at night, singing their songs to us is such a hypnotic resting into the arms of Divine Mother and Mother Earth. For me, it was so healing, and so I'll always remember that time and everyone that I met there with the backdrop, with the soundtrack of the cookie frogs. I don't know if you loved them as much as I did, but boy, when I listen to recordings from our sessions there, I hear those cookie frogs in the background, and it immediately overcomes me. And then we also got to be roommates at the Fountain of Life teacher training where we assisted in England this year. So Márcia, you were a wonderful person to be with and to share space with, and I feel like we became sisters. If we weren't already, we became close sisters then. So I'm so glad to have you in the summit and as part of the Womb-Centered Healing Temple. And I would love for you to introduce yourself in the context of sharing about your womb-centered healing journey, your personal journey with your own womb and awakening to the importance of that healing journey for you. And for a lot of women have been sharing about how, it didn't necessarily start when they became conscious of their womb, but before then, that there were womb messages coming through before they even realized where it was coming from. So I would love for you to share with us about that.
Yeah, thank you, Sama. It's I feel wonderful being here and being invited to this. And I do want to say that I felt a little bit left out in the beginning, and I spoke with you and you were so beautiful and loving and welcoming me, into the circle. So that's beautiful. And I just trust and believe in this sisters collaboration, where we just add to one another and we in this together, holding hands and sharing. So I feel great joy being here, and thank you for inviting me.
And thank you for speaking your truth when you felt that way, and then for receiving my love. And it's just an example how even when there's a difficult feeling, that if we respond with loving sisterhood, we can get to the other side. And
I had the best time with you in Hawaii. I mean, in Hawaii, yes, but in England, because we were roommates.
I know.
We did so many funny things together. We got to do yoni steams in the room.
Yeah, we did. With the wild nettles from the hillside.
We sang a lot together. I loved your songs, and we went to the beach together, and there was so much treasures that I will cherish forever. So, I would just start off saying that my womb healing started when my womb actually got hurt during the delivery of my son. So when my womb was cut during a C-section, right away, I didn't have any close relationship to my womb. I mean, during pregnancy, for me, it was one of the best times of my life. I did have connection, but I wouldn't think, in the sense of the womb as what I understand now. I had connection with the baby, maybe. I did not necessarily feel like my womb, the house of this baby. I felt that I was nurturing, I was generating something very precious, very special. So like my mother had a history of 3 C-sections, and she would always tell me since I was a child, do a C-section is the best thing on earth. It's so much suffering to do a natural childbirth. And when I got pregnant, I just knew I wanted a natural child. I wanted to try at least. So I did acupuncture, I did hypnosis. I tried to hire a bathtub to put in the hospital. And I did everything like natural that I could at the time. I didn't have that many tools, but I did my best. End up that it was a C-section. I wasn't that frustrated that I had a C-section, because in the back of my mind, I knew that this could happen because of my mother history and on all her sisters actually. But I felt this cut in my womb. So I remember being in the recovery room in the hospital thinking, I need to heal from this. I already knew it. And I didn't know how this healing will take place. But what happened when my son was 1 year old in 2009, I had a very strong spiritual awakening. I was living in New York at the time, and I was so tired of being like a non-sleeping mother, and so weary. And I was just praying and asking for a change. And there was a night I went to sleep asking, why am I here? And from the next day, I started getting so many synchronic events and situations and people. And a particular book was what really awoken my soul, I would say, from a very deep sleep. And from that point on, it was a book of angels' messages. So from that point on, and the angels were talking about the goddess a lot. That was 2008 and 2009 when the author received these messages. And it wasn't so explicit. Womb Awaken wasn't birthed yet, like to my, in my environment, for me in general, you wouldn't hear that much about womb. But the angels were talking about that we needed to connect to our feminine side, that we needed to feel our feeling centers, to connect to intuition and the place of the goddess. And I also connected a lot with the work of Barbara Marciniak and her Pleiadian teachings, and they talk a lot about that. So little by little, something inside of me started to awaken and be activated. And I actually had some strong Kundalini activations with a healer. And it was a long journey, between ups and downs and trying to understand this energy. And I remember one day I was living back in Brazil where I live now. It was 2004 by the equinox. A friend of mine posted on Facebook a 30-day online course for womb awakening. And I just signed up. I said, wow, I don't even want to know what this is about. I'm in. So I started my journey with the Fountain of Life through a 30-day womb awakening. I also did many, many sessions with Azra, Dr. Azra Burton, which is one of the co-founders of this mystery school, Fountain of Life. And I just started the journey. So I did the apprenticeship several times and the retreats. And also, just before I started womb awakening, I started drinking plant medicine, ayahuasca, specifically. And that was, to me, just a combination of things, because the ayahuasca is a master plant and it teaches you. So the ayahuasca started talking to me and showing me and explaining me things and making me understand and feeling it and realizing things, remembering lives and knowing my own wounds, and so it was like a cascade, like a domino effect, and from a point that I don't even know when it was, like I just knew like, I'm a womb priestess. I'm a holder of this wisdom. I'm a holder. I want to birth, this frequency of sacred union, of the merge between masculine and feminine energies on earth, and that's why I live for. It's to bring this love, and the love starts inside, for sure, and then it kind of pours out. So I'm in this journey right now. It's been this is my 5th year doing this, and I'm very pleased, with what's been happening, with all the falls and the troubles and the the challenges. I find myself in a very fortunate place right now. I recently moved to a home where I'm with my son, and I'm creating this temple inside my house, and I'm inviting people to come and share and be open and learn more about the womb consciousness.
So it's beautiful. There's several themes that I wanted to hear more about. But this theme of creating a temple is something that we share in common. I happen to be doing it in an online space.
Yeah.
And I do it some in my personal in-person space. But share more about that. What do you feel this call to create a temple is? What need is that meeting for us?
So
on the womb healing journey,
I feel that a lot about womb awakening goes to beauty, because beauty is a language that's universal and that touches you, your psyche, your heart, your womb, your whole being, and it makes you go back to that natural state, that original state of remembering who we really are. So anything that we can, or any situation where we can create beauty, either by song or by a space or playing an instrument or singing a poem or, all these feminine arts, dancing, touching, whispering, using plants, herbalism, aromatherapy, or anything that you do and you create more beauty. To me, that's the healing. That's the healing of this planet. And nature is ahead of us, because it's very difficult that you find an ugly place in nature. Even if it's unorganized, even if it's messy, it's beautiful. So it's a way for me to create the eye for beauty. And beauty brings love, and love brings healing, and healing brings presence and embodiment. So to me, when we talk about creating our own temple space, is starting with our bodies, to really realize, what a sacred vessel this is. This is the vehicle for our soul to be, acting in the world. So the more we can create beauty in ourselves, the more we can, and each one has their own way of doing it, like there's no rule, but whatever feels good to you, whatever gives you nourishment and makes you feel good, and create this beauty is wonderful. And also creating this beauty out. So finding space, finding a place in your own house, in your own room, and where you go, where you can kind of adorn and, bring your own beauty, bring your expression to the world. So any woman can do this, you don't have to be a womb specialist to do it. That's sort of what I wanted to convey. It's like we just have to make a choice to do it. And really find a special place and nurture it. You know, maybe a candle to, you know, you can bring a flower from the street, or you can display music there and put a beautiful cloth, or candles, incense, you know, whatever feels good to you. But having that space where you feel that's a power place in my own house, where I can channel feminine energy from the earth and from the heavens, and, you know, and masculine energy, like the two energies combined. One thing that I like to do is to have a white candle and a red candle. And when I light the candles, it's not just lighting a candle, you know, you can put some magic in it, and you can put a wish, you can put a purpose, an intention when you light the candle. So I like to call in the masculine principle and the feminine principle when I light candles. And I just let these candles burn in my, I like to have candles on all the time in my house. Sometimes I put them out when I go out or when I travel, but I feel like that there's an energy around, you know, the candle and the fire that heals and clears the space also.
Beautiful. And so it feels like this tradition is ancient, of creating temples, you know, that nurture our connection with spirit and with the divine. And it sounds like on your journey, right now you're creating that temple space in your home. And it sounds like it's not just your personal altar or your personal temple where you sit and you connect with the divine yourself, which many of us may have, or maybe we want to nourish that and create that for ourselves. But it sounds like you're also creating a temple space in your home to invite others to join you in this beauty nurturing of our connection with the womb and with that connection with our soul through the womb. And so share about that. How is that to create that in your very own home, that to invite people into that space, that intimate space?
So when I was in the first teacher training with Fountain of Life that I took in North Carolina, in the Appalachian Mountains, on the very end of it, the last closing ceremony, I hear this: just go back to Brazil and open your own space and just do it. Don't think of it. Don't get distracted. Just do it. And I got back to Brazil and I started looking for places to rent. I couldn't find one. I actually ended up finding one, like the teacher training was May. I ended up finding one in September. But when the year turned, it wasn't renewed. So I felt like I said, no, I was feeling the need to have this and to start offering womb awakening offerings, like practices and prayers and gatherings. So at the time, I was living in my father's house. My father's been sick for a while, and I was there, assisting him. And I decided to turn my own bedroom in his apartment into a temple. So I started sleeping on my son's, what do you call it? It's a bunk bed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that was like, it was coming out from me, it was so strong that I turned my own bedroom into a temple, and it was my healing room. And people would come, and I actually did some gatherings, but it would only fit like 5 people. So when I moved, like the choice of moving to a new house was to hold space for, creating a temple. And I feel almost like this is a church here in my house. It might relate to my, past lives of being a spiritual person. But yes, I want to offer this to people. I've been doing it, offering ceremonies and there's a lot of opportunity for growth here. So
beautiful.
Yes, I feel like this is a place, the day I got my keys for this apartment, I also invited 8 friends, and we did a ayahuasca ceremony in my new apartment. And that was to anchor this energy that, I'm talking about, this frequency of bringing love to earth, bringing sacred union, healing, So I anchored this in the house, and now I just feel like this strong call to share it.
Beautiful.
So, and I'm feeling also that it would be nice to also do some, like what you are doing, online events, so we can transmit this, across, there's no space barriers in it.
Beautiful. Yeah. So it seems like these in-person temples can nourish the online temples and vice versa. So it's wonderful that we're bringing these temples together, creating a network of temples to beauty and healing. So I wanted to make the connection back to the origin of this need in you and this cut that you felt that needed so much healing from your cesarean birth. And so what aspects of this healing journey that was the initiation into, can you remember times when you felt a direct healing energy going to that cut?
Yes. I've done a lot of healing around this, and it feels a lot better now, but I still do it. I still have a path to go. I remember one day I went to this workshop with this, he was actually the author of this angel book that I'm mentioning, Drawer. And he did a transmission, angelic transmission through the eye. And like he looked into my eyes for maybe 5 seconds. And then I just felt this, like it was a tsunami in my womb. And I started sobbing for many hours. I was just sobbing. I didn't know why I was crying. I wasn't sad even, but I had this, whoa, it was such a release coming from, like I felt my womb contracting. It was a huge release. So I felt like in several moments of my healing journey, I had these experiences of really feeling my womb, feeling it, feeling contractions, sometimes feeling pain, sometimes I feel in my ovaries. So in one way, I feel it's my womb awakening, and I feel like I've been praying a lot for me to awake, all my grail gates. That's the language we speak in womb shamanism, where we have many portals in our genitalia, in our sexual organs, where each gate holds a power and holds a wisdom. So I feel like I haven't opened and awakened some of them, but I feel there's a lot more to go, So I keep asking to really, be able to open, not be, because there's a lot of fears actually around this. So many years, thousands, millions of years immersed in this patriarchal where this was so prohibited. Then all our ancestral lines and all the suffering that women been through, my family been through the women in my family were very submissive, lots of abuse. So there we're holding, we're healing so much. And I feel like my role here is to sustain this energy, the best as I can. And by doing this, we allow others to come to us and share their own journeys and, also heal. But, besides the healing aspect of it, I like also to think in this new consciousness that's emerging, you know, where we realize we don't come from a big bang, you know, with bang being the sound of a gun. You know, we come from a big orgasm. We come from a big birth. We are children of the marriage between heaven and earth. So we are just amazing, so special, so beautiful that we need to kind of like retrieve this knowing, remember who we are, what are we doing here in this planet, being here, what is your choice to be here, to do what, you know. So I like to think of this new kind of womb cosmology as we talk, and also offer this to people. So this, my temple, you know, this healing space and all that, a lot is for that too. It's like education, you know, there's healing part and there's the educational part. And I love talking about it. I feel so enthusiastic about it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you glow with your enthusiasm. It's so beautiful, and the way you share about it is re-inspiring for me. You know, because it sounds like this very physical wound that you experienced with the cesarean birth opened up a portal to experience these other realms, the emotional and spiritual wounding and potential of experiencing more in our wombs and in our bodies than we were conditioned to believe was possible. So, and that your desire to heal that physical cut also awakened this passion to heal these other emotional and spiritual, you know, cuts or severances that we feel so keenly in our lineages and in our own personal lives. And I wonder how that desire, you know, and you spoke of that healing moment where that angel healer looked into your eyes and you felt so much sadness that you wept from sadness.
It wasn't even sadness. Yes.
Or you just wept.
Like visceral, like this, you know, this something that came from, I could feel it. It was coming from my womb and I was just sobbing for hours.
So it's not even, right. Not even a specific emotion, but just raw feeling that had to come out through tears. And how often do we give ourselves in our modern culture permission to feel that depth of feeling? And it feels like this temple space, creating not only the physical temple space in our homes and in our lives, but space in the sense of time, setting aside time to attend, you know, workshops like the angel person's workshop, or setting aside time to be out in nature or to be in our own home temple space is so important. That time to allow these feelings to arise, to allow that reconnection with spirit, with soul, with these beauty aspects of life that become so undernourished and sparse when our priorities and focus is just on tasks and accomplishments and, you know, financial security or whatever it might be.
That's why, you know, just lighting a candle, you know, it's so simple. You can light a candle for taking a shower. Mm-hmm. But, you know, not just lighting the candle. You have to connect to the energy of the fire, you know. But like I realized, you know, fire is an element that we're not so exposed to as much as air. You know, we're breathing all the time. You know, like we touch the ground. We have earth. You know, if you want to connect, it's always there. You know, in water, we have our water inside of us. We wash hands, we take showers. But fire is an element that it's not that available, you know. We have our internal fire, but like lighting a candle, it's so magical. And if we can have like 2 minutes, you know, to just, there's this prayer that I love to say. It's like just to say, Divine Mother, I'm here. I have heard your call. I'm here. And I'm not asking anything. I'm not, you know, giving anything. I'm just being present. And this has been my learning right now, embodiment, you know. So that, and that's, to me, that's what the temple, creating a temple also does, is embodiment. Just being, you know, everything that we hear, that we think, that we feel, you know, just being it, bringing this to earth, rooting, you know, like grounding, and just being it, embodying it. So I'm not saying any way that I'm there, you know, but I'm walking this path right now.
And that's a big shift from a lot of spiritual traditions whose whole purpose is to sort of transcend this human experience to get to some other place that is free of human suffering, right? To get to heaven or some other state of being that's free of human suffering, to escape the cycle of life and death and rebirth, and life and death and rebirth. And this embodiment approach to spirituality is saying something quite different, which is we are bringing divine spirit into this human existence, and fully embodying and fully experiencing and fully loving and bringing that divine love into that. And in that way, it alleviates the suffering, because the love that we get to experience here embodied as humans on this planet is so exquisite that it heals the wounds and is the beauty that we are longing for right here.
And if we can realize, you know, that the ultimate temple is our own body, you know, and how do we treat it, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this like very openly. I've been struggling with my how you say, like with the food that I eat, you know. I've been struggling with it. I've been not nourishing myself the best that I can. And that, you know, it's amazing playground for learning, because then I feel guilty, then I don't eat well, then I don't exercise, you know. So I'm like, right now, I'm just turning this key, you know, and just understanding that it's a choice at every moment how I'm going to treat myself, you know. So I just forget now what you were saying, but it's just to say that how beautiful is this body? How can we deny? You know, we do have a body. You cannot deny that. We have a body. What we're going to do with it? How we're going to treat it, you know? That like our heart works non-stop from the moment we are born until we die. How can we not care for it? You know, like our muscles, our legs, our lungs, you know. So when we realize what a gift this is, you know, we just have to start just creating better opportunities, and also I feel like recognizing that we do have a body and there's value to it. And
the womb-centered healing feels like it is at the core of this, because this shift in consciousness, because the womb is what brings a spirit into physical form. And there's so many layers of that process that the womb is involved in. And as we take care of the womb, it improves that whole process and nourishes that whole process on all levels. Yeah. And we could go on and on about this all afternoon. But I wanted to invite you to share about you're so into music and sound healing that I want that you're offering a gift for us. One of the ways that you use beauty to nourish the body, and I would love for you to share about that now.
Yes, I will share it. I do want to mention that you taught me a lot about how to nourish myself during our times and when we were roommates. You know, I just observing you by example, you know, how you take your herbs and, you know, the potions you make. And I'm using it, still using it, like the womb magic butter. I don't remember exactly how it's called. I love it, you know, and like the womb steamings that we did, I've been doing a lot more now, more often, and I'm feeling an effect. So I do want to acknowledge you and your wisdom, and like it was wonderful for me to bathe into that, and it's making a difference in my life. So
good.
Yes.
I'm so glad.
And okay, about the sound healing, someone asked me to share a free gift, and I will use this lyre, which is a womb awakening lyre. It's a lyre made by anthroposophic principles by Rudolf Steiner. This was made by Joe Crutchfield, he is our lyre maker, you know, our amazing, like he's such a spiritual person, you know. Sometimes I feel almost like he's I'm forgetting the name of those elemental beings that lives in the forest, you know, and just care for the gardens. But so he created this lyre for me, and the lyre is constructed in such a way that the notes chosen and the intervals of these notes, they are made to heal the womb. So anthroposophy has lyres for healing every organ of your body, and you just play it. So I've been exploring this lyre a lot recently. I finally got it tuned. It was a long journey to get it tuned. It's tuned already, finally, I mean. And I've been playing with it, and I've been just receiving some beautiful musics in it. And I would love to share this with you, like you all that wants this to receive this, and know that when you are listening to it, the purpose for the song is to heal, to awaken, and to embrace, you know, the womb in men and women. So men are always included. The men have a womb center energetically. You know, men can also benefit a lot from this. So this is for everyone. I can play a little bit if you like. I don't know how much
Okay. All right, go for it.
Okay, I hope the sound is well, like in the recording. I'll just a little piece, you know, in case it's not that clear, but.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So I just want to encourage everyone. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Márcia. I'm sure that you'll play for longer a little bit on the recording that you make for us with a whole womb healing meditation, sound healing journey that you'll share with us for that wonderful gift. So be sure to connect with Márcia. We'll have a link for you to sign up for that gift and stay connected with Márcia and her beautiful transmissions of love and healing from the womb. Thank you so much for joining us today, Márcia, and for sharing your beauty and your wisdom. And are there any last words that you want to share? Any last messages?
Yes, I'm very grateful for you to be doing this. I know it's a big task to organize it. You know, it's very easy for me to come and talk, and so I honor you for all the work you have put into, and you are also creating your own vision, you know, for healing. So I want to honor you and just feel grateful right now, you know, for this opportunity, for you know, Divine Mother to have my words spread out, you know, in the air and listen. So thank you so much.
Yes, and thank you. So that's all for now. Thank you all for joining us once again for the Womb-Centered Healing Temples Opening Summit, and we'll see you again soon. All right, take care for now.
Take care. Ciao.